Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's here. The map we've been waiting for 10 years. The population growth by county of the United States of America. I love these maps. These maps are fascinating to me, and I think that when I'm done with this video, hopefully you'll be fascinated by it too, and I highly encourage you when I'm done talking, or even right now if you would like, to just pause this and look at these at this map and at these counties in specific, and we're just going to be taking a look at them, kind of just a 10-minute recap, or I'm aiming for this to be 10 minutes, just a 10-minute recap of what is going on in this map. So I think we should get right into it. This is just, there's so much to unpack here, and I think we should really just get started. So first of all, we're going to start off with the state of Alaska, and just kind of do this in some semblance of order, where we start kind of on the western area, then head over to Maine. So Alaska, as you can see, this was a state that Donald Trump did carry by exactly 10% over Joe Biden in 2020. And, he made it a little closer than I originally thought it was going to. Biden made it a little closer than I originally thought it was going to be. I think I had Trump winning here by 12. But this is still a state that's trying to the left. And when we talk about the areas of Alaska that are shifting the state to the left, it is Fairbanks, Anchorage, and Juneau. These are cities that, historically Alaska has been very weird politically in that the cities vote red, but the rurals vote blue, which is completely different from what happens in basically every other state, because Alaska has to make things complicated. But for the most part, we have white oil workers in Anchorage in specific voting Republican because they're perceived to be the more pro-business party. That's changing. The narratives are changing. And, we have these cities getting more diverse. We have these cities getting more college educated. And that's shifting them towards the Democratic Party. And that's shifting the state as a whole because, these areas up north are big, but, we only have a couple thousand voters up there. Whereas, at one of these areas in Anchorage, you have 3 times the amount of population. It's just this big area, North Slope, Alaska. So, as you can see, the population growth in northern Alaska was pretty, it was pretty stagnant. I mean, North Slope, which is this northern county over here, had net lost a very small amount of people, and then some other areas gained, some other areas lost. But we should be just talking about kind of suburban, exurban Anchorage, which is a area that's been trending to the left, but still pretty Republican, mostly because the Alaska suburbs are really red right now. And these are areas that Donald Trump did win. Outside of Anchorage, he won these areas, but they're trending to the left. And I think that this says a lot about Alaska's future. And if you want to zoom in, and actually, it's annoying because the New York Times they show the results by electoral district and not county, but it really does show you that these areas are shifting the state to the left. So that's all I can say for Alaska. There's a lot more, and again, you should totally pause this video, and I can, if someone comments and wants the link to this Twitter post, I can absolutely give you the link. But Alaska, there's a lot going on in Alaska that I probably did not touch base on. But we should head over to the West Coast, where we have California, Oregon, Washington. Washington, as you can see, every county except for anything that might be Yakima County. I'm not sure. I'm probably gonna get that wrong. Oh, that's Garfield County. Where's Yakima County? It's somewhere. That's Yakima County. I wasn't close. Garfield County, which is a very small county. I think they might have lost people. Yeah, no, that's not even Garfield. It's Columbia County lost people. But other than that, they lost. Other than that, the state of Washington had a big boom, especially you see, Kittitas County. You see these areas that are kind of light red areas that Trump won, but he didn't win them by a lot, that are shifting to the left. These areas are growing, and we're going to see this a lot in this video. Suburban and exurban areas are shifting to the left. Trump still might have won some of these areas, but they're shifting to the left, and that's a result of their population growth. So Washington, basically the whole state of Washington is growing. Oregon, as you can see, we have a lot of people in Oregon that are kind of moving into the Portland suburbs, whether it be Clackamas County, whether it be Marion County, whether it be even, we talk about Deschutes County, which is kind of, I think it's interesting because it really reflects the popular vote of the state of Oregon as a whole. It usually votes exactly 5 points to the left of the state, which is my general rule of thumb. I think it voted 7 points to the left of the state or to the right of the state as a whole in 2020. But this is a good bellwether county, especially for presidential elections. But really, when we talk about these areas in Oregon, they're gaining population just because the suburbs are growing in general, and because Oregon people have just been moving there a lot for whatever reason. Now, these rural areas in Oregon kind of outside of the suburbs, like these rural areas over here that don't have a ton of people, they're losing population. But the rural areas in America are losing people overall. That's not an Oregon thing. It's a rural America thing. Nevada is pretty imbalanced here. I love Nevada as a state, but their politics are really weird. Obviously, Washoe County is growing. We kind of see this basically all of ski country over here. Douglas County, Story County, Leon County, which are all. I don't expect you guys to know all those counties by heart. I spend way too much time looking at Nevada politics, but these are all ski counties that have just a couple, have tens of thousands of people. Washoe County is the second largest county in Nevada by population, and that had a big boom mostly because young people are moving into Reno and Sparks. Clark County, which is where Las Vegas is, that's growing. Nevada is one of the fastest growing states. Utah is another fast growing one, especially like we see these areas like exurban, whether it be Provo or Salt Lake City. For whatever reason, Wasatch County was growing. It's not even that big of a county; it's just growing at an insane rate for whatever reason. But basically, all of northern Utah is Utah County, which is a really red county that's trending to the left as of late, but still where Provo is, still a very Republican area. Then we also talk about Salt Lake County, Summit County, which is kind of Salt Lake City, Park City area. These are areas that are growing and pushing the state to the left. Arizona is just the main thing I want to highlight here is that Maricopa County is growing really, really quickly. Maricopa County is the home of Phoenix, Scottsdale, Glendale, I think Mesa as well. Just the big population center of Arizona, where you have, I think, like 2 out of every 3 Arizonans live in Maricopa County. And this is the bellwether county of the state. This was a Trump 2016 county, Biden 2020 county, so very good at predicting elections, also very good at growing. New Mexico is actually losing people overall, except for, I believe, the largest county, which is Bernalillo County, right here. Yeah, or no, wait, that's, okay. Santa Fe County is still growing. Bernalillo County is actually not really gaining or losing. So New Mexico as a whole losing people. I don't really have a hypothesis for that. I think it's mostly just because we have rural Hispanics starting to leave these areas. But again, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not going to pretend like I know 100% of what's going on in New Mexico. Colorado's growing mostly because the Denver suburbs are just growing at incredible rates and they're getting bluer, which I think most of us know. Now, interestingly enough, going up to Montana. Montana is a state that's been trending to the left as of late. And I'm going to make videos about this. I think I'm going to have a lot of free time very soon. Montana is a state that we should take a look at politically because it's shifting away. I think John Tester's going to lose in 2024. They're shifting away from these conservative Democrats like Tester and Bullock, and they're shifting towards just generic, even progressive Democrats. And in 20 years from now, Democrats are going to Montana because of how big Missoula, Helena, Butte, Bozeman have become. And you see these areas out here that they're shifting to the left, especially Missoula, which is the most Democratic area of the state. Out here, these counties are growing. They're growing at Missoula County had what is that 10 to 20% population growth. That's maybe even 20 to 40. That's really good for the Democratic Party of Montana, and it's really good obviously for Missoula County. Now Wyoming, I don't want to talk too much about Wyoming. I guess the Cheyenne and Laramie, which are in Cheyenne's in Laramie County, and then Laramie's in Albany County. I'm getting this mixed up, but these two counties are kind of the two larger these are the larger population centers of the state. They're all growing, I guess. Teton County, which is also the most Democratic county in the state, is growing as well, but I'm not sure. I think it's just mostly because this is a ski county, where we have a lot of more affluent white voters moving here to ski and are voting Democrat. North Dakota, interestingly enough, just these rural red regions, I don't even know why they're growing. They just pop out, these two counties, Williams and McKenzie County, they're growing at an insane rate. I don't even know why that's going on, but it just is. The other North Dakota highlight we have is Cass County. Cass County is the home of Fargo, as you can see on this map, and it's a very competitive county. This was a county that Heidi Heitkamp won by 17 points in her 2018 Senate race, then Donald Trump carried it by, I think, 2 or 3 in 2020. So these are counties that, are very elastic, but are still pretty competitive overall. So yeah. And then same thing, South Dakota, the largest county, which is, not the largest, I think one of the larger counties, Minnehaha County. is growing as well. So like we see these larger, the city. I say larger in quotes because they're pretty big for the region. But like you go to California, these are tiny cities. Fargo. I think Sioux Falls is in this county. Yeah, Sioux Falls. These cities that have like 100,000 people or something, and they're growing because these medium-sized cities in these rural areas are growing. They're the new hot thing. In 20 years from now, these cities are going to be as big as Salt Lake City. They're growing. And Salt Lake City in 20 years going to be the same size as Las Vegas, or maybe even bigger, Miami or something. So yeah. Going over to Nebraska, we just see it's kind of inconsistent that like Cherry County is gaining people, but surrounding counties are losing people. Nebraska, not much going on here. Kansas, as you can see, I'll highlight one thing, and it's essentially that Pottawatomie County is gaining people, and like we kind of see these counties. These are ex-urban, suburban counties. Also, we should just take a look at Johnson as well as Douglas County. These are Democratic suburban counties for the most part, especially Douglas, and to a certain extent Riley as well as Shawnee County. These counties are gaining population, and they're doing it in the suburbs of Kansas are exploding. They're shifting to the left rapidly, and I think it's important that we talk about that for a second. Oklahoma, I'm not really sure what's going on there. I find it very random that there's one county that lost a ton of people. If you guys know what the answer to these random counties losing people is, be sure to tell me in the comments down below. Blaine County lost a ton of people. I don't know why. But when we zoom on these in these larger cities in Oklahoma, like Oklahoma County, I think that's Oklahoma County at least, or is that Canadian County? The Canadian County is another kind of ex-urban county. Like I said, these areas that are kind of in these what we classify as rural areas, they're gaining people. They're becoming the new hot thing. Like we talk about Fargo, we talk about Sioux Falls, we're talking about Omaha, we're talking about Oklahoma City, talking about even Wichita and Kansas City. We're talking about Oklahoma City. We're talking about Amarillo and Lubbock, which are stand out here. They all, Potter County as well as Lubbock County, they gained people. These medium-sized cities in these rural, Mountain West southern areas, they're gaining people, and that's what's shifting these states to the left. It's not that Democrats are getting insane turnout from these demographics like Native Americans in North Dakota, or for example, or Hispanics in Texas. No, it's because these medium-sized cities that were once like insanely Republican areas are growing, and they're becoming more and more competitive. That's what we should be taking away from the census data. Minnesota is another. I think it's important we talk about Minnesota too, because people seem to think that Minnesota is just going to flip red, in a decade or so, just because of trends in the rural areas. The rural areas are losing people. If anything, the trends help Democrats here, because rural areas like up here and down here, they're losing influence. They're getting less and less influence in Minnesota elections as time goes by. The Iron Range is also losing influence, which is, I guess, a little bad for Democrats, but it's trying to the right anyway, so I'm not sure how long they'd preserve their wins there. But what we should take away is that Minneapolis, specifically Hennepin County and its suburbs, Hennepin right here, and suburbs that are trending to the left, they're all growing as well. Iowa's shedding population. That's not really a surprise to me. For whatever reason, I think it might be Polk County. Is it Polk County? I'm not even sure. Could be Dallas County. Polk or Dallas County is gaining a ton of people, but I'm not going to pretend like I know which one that is. It's actually, try to figure it out. It's the fifth county on this row. Guess it's Dallas County is gaining people. And Dallas County, it was another competitive county. I'm not sure how to diagnose that exactly. I don't know too much about, suburban Des Moines. I'm not too familiar with it. But Missouri as well, it'll lose population overall. Not sure what to do there. Now, what I do want to note across the South here, we see just talking about Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, and this applies to other states as well, but these specifically, these counties over here, Arkansas, we talk about the blue parts of Arkansas. There's obviously Little Rock, which is the largest city, Pulaski County going blue in 2020, as well as Jefferson County, but it's mostly these areas over here. If I can get a better look at them, these areas over here, these are rural areas that are dominated by black voters, and they turn out and they vote Democrat. So, when we say that these areas are losing population, that's bad news for Democrats, I mean it. I mean, the Democrats, they're not competitive in Arkansas right now. They're not going to be for a very long time. But it's only going to get worse for them because, we see these rural black areas. They've been losing population for decades. And these areas are they're shedding people And the people that are leaving these areas, they're not just white voters. They're a lot of them are black voters, and they're moving away from these areas, and that hurts the Democrats. So, we see the same thing in these counties in Mississippi. Look at this. These are all rural blue counties that are majority black. They're losing people. Alabama over here. This is Terry Sewell's congressional district right here. Right here. These are all rural black voters. They're losing population. These areas are losing population. Same with Georgia, southern Georgia. This area these are mostly rural Democrats plus Muskie County, which is where Columbus is, which is kind of an exception. And as you can see, Muskie is actually gaining population. But these rural black areas, they're losing population. So we should take away here is that when we talk about rural areas losing population, it's not only rural white areas, it's rural black areas as well, rural Hispanic areas, I think, to a certain extent, but not sure about that. It actually looks like I'm wrong. Like these rural Hispanic areas in New Mexico, they're losing population, but in southern Texas, they don't appear to be losing too many people. Now, Florida is growing everywhere. I mean, Florida's been growing insane. Florida's the new hot thing. Mostly in Orlando, as well as St. Johns County for whatever reason, which is where St. Augustine is. St. Johns County gained population by a lot. Osceola County, I believe, so yeah, Osceola, which is kind of south of Orlando. What else is there? There's also Miami-Dade and Collier County, I believe. They're gaining people. They're gaining people as well. That's to be expected, though. So Florida, bottom line here, Florida is gaining people. Georgia, as you can see, suburban and exurban Georgia is growing at an insane rate. We see Forsyth County kind of sticks out here. Forsyth is an exurban county that Romney won by like 15 points more than Trump. So the exurbs, like Forsyth and Cherokee, Forsyth to a greater extent than Cherokee, but Cherokee as well. These are suburban, exurban counties that are growing in population, and they're shifting the state to the left. You don't have to win a county for it to be a win for you, right? If Biden does 10 points better than Hillary in County A, and it's enough to narrow up the state and to narrow up the county and just gain a few more votes, which help win the state of like Georgia, which was so close in 2020, that's not necessarily a loss for him. It means he made inroads in Republican areas. That's what he did. He may not have won Forsyth County, he may not have won Cherokee County, but when they're gaining people that are predominantly white college educated voters or black voters, that still helps the Democratic Party, and that's why I think the Democrats should feel really good about this map. Obviously you see Fulton and DeKalb County are gaining people, these are obviously very Democratic areas, specifically DeKalb, which was like 83% Democrat, but it's still, black voters aren't the only part of the Democratic coalition, and when we see the suburbs getting more college educated and growing and getting more diverse, that helps the Democratic Party. Tennessee, Tennessee is kind of gaining population everywhere. Nashville, which is in Davidson County, as well as suburban, exurban counties like Rutherford County, was the only competitive suburb in Tennessee, really, or for Nashville at least. So again, I don't know too much about Tennessee. Kentucky is actually a state where we have the parts closer to Louisville, which I think is just in its Jefferson County. Suburban Louisville. And there's some more places in Kentucky that are population centers like Rowan County. We talk about Lexington, Fayette, which is in Lexington, which is in Fayette County. We talk about Bowling Green, which I think is in Warren County. So again, these are still areas that are gaining population, but I don't think Kentucky's going blue anytime soon. In Illinois, Chicago is net losing people, but it's more these downstate parts of Illinois that are making the state lose so many people. Wisconsin's another one where I'm not entirely sure why people are leaving the rural north, but not the working class south, the southern part of the state. Wisconsin, the Rust Belt as a whole is net losing people. Like you look at Illinois, there's a lot of purple there, but Wisconsin, Dane County, which stands out, is the home of Madison. It's a super blue county. Dane County is gaining people, but I just thought I'd highlight that. Detroit is Wayne County, which is where Detroit is losing people overall, which is not a good thing for Democrats, but it's still not terrible because the suburbs, as you can see, like Oakland County in specific, Oakland County is gaining population. So again, these are suburban counties that are kind of making up for the Democrats potentially losing people with rural black voters and big population centers. and the Democrats do have a future in, kind of western Michigan where they didn't. Berrien County is an interesting one we can take a look at. Berrien's kind of didn't really lose or gain people, but more specifically the Grand Rapids area, like Muskegon County as well as Kent County, and also Kalamazoo County is another one that we should talk about as well. Kalamazoo, as you can see, gaining people. So, Michigan was kind of a kind of a wash for Democrats. I mean, Wayne County, which is their big basin of votes, as you can see, they got nearly 600,000 votes out of Wayne County in 2020. They lost people there, but they gained in the suburbs. They gained in the Grand Rapids area. They gained in Kalamazoo. Also, the Upper Peninsula, which is super Republican, there's like one Democratic county, which is Marquette, but the Upper Peninsula, which is super Republican, still lost people. And then in Indiana, going over to Indiana, the Indianapolis area as well as the suburbs gained people, but other than that, the state was pretty bleak for the state. Also, for whatever reason, like Fort Wayne gained Allen County, which is where Fort Wayne is, gained people. I'm not sure why that is. Mostly because people are moving towards suburbs and away from rurals, which, as you can see, rural Indiana wasn't too hot for a lot of people. In Ohio is losing people, especially like in these working class areas like the Mahoning Valley. We talk about Trumbull County, we talk about Mahoning County, we talk about Ashtabula County, even Lake County to a certain extent, but less so. But really, Delaware and Franklin County, which is Columbus and the suburbs, they're gaining people. You can see Dayton, or not Dayton, Montgomery County. I believe I saw they were gaining people. Right here, Montgomery County gaining people. So there are parts of Ohio that are gaining, losing people. I think Ohio overall not great for the Democratic Party, but I think we should just move on to West Virginia now. I think West Virginia is I think the state that had the most population loss the past decade. I think it's close to Connecticut and Illinois, but West Virginia really too, because West Virginia is a state that is losing a lot of rural people. They're moving out of state. So in even even the more urban parts of West Virginia, which I know don't make a joke. I get that West Virginia is a very rural state, but the more urban parts of West Virginia, they're still losing. Like Kanawha County, which is where Charleston is, still net lost people. Mongolia County gained people. This is why Mongolia County is going to flip blue in 2024 for the record. So these are still there are like a few areas in West Virginia that are growing, but it's still pretty bleak for West Virginia at this point. In North Carolina, as you can see, North Carolina is hard to analyze because of how many counties there are in the state and how small they are. But essentially, Mecklenburg County is growing, I believe, which is where Charlotte is. Mecklenburg County growing, as you can see, huge there, as well as Wake County, which is where Raleigh is and its suburban areas surrounding it. Then you have like some more rural black areas in the northern part of the state. They are losing population, as we see with these other rural, predominantly African American areas. They're also, for whatever reason, I'm forgetting the name of the city. I think Boone's up here, but I'm forgetting the name of the city. Or I think it's Green. No, it's not Greensboro. There's a city over here somewhere. Please tell me the name of the city. I'm forgetting it. I chose the worst possible time to forget it. But over here, this urban part of kind of Western North Carolina is gaining in people. Then we talk about Virginia. The Nova area is gaining in population as expected. And the Nova suburbs are just growing at an insane rate. Maryland as well. All of Maryland's growing. Pennsylvania, going up to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a state where these more rural areas are really losing people. But the good news for the Democratic Party is that the suburbs, specifically Chester County and Berks County as well, or not Berks, Bucks, I get them mixed up. But these are growing. Philadelphia itself isn't really growing or losing populations. I think it might have grown a little bit, but it doesn't really matter there. So the Philly suburbs are growing in Pennsylvania. Delaware, for whatever reason, the southern county, I think it's Sussex County. Sussex County gained people. I don't know why that happened. It gained a lot of people. New York, as we know, losing people. I think everyone knows that. New Jersey is a whole losing people. Connecticut, the only county that gained in Connecticut was actually, I think, Fairfield County, not New Haven. This is New Haven. Fairfield County gained people, but that was it. Especially like rural counties like Litchfield and Windham County lost a lot of people. And then Massachusetts, Boston suburbs gained people. New Hampshire, sadly, Coos County, which is a personal favorite of mine, I don't know why, but Coos County lost people in 2020. They net lost people. But, southern, more urban New Hampshire did gain. Maine, lastly, it's kind of funny because it looks like the first district gained a lot of people, whereas the second just lost. So rural Maine, didn't have a great time in the census, but urban Maine did gain people. So I think that's it. This video is very unorganized, but I mean, other than that, I hope you enjoyed. Please do leave a like if you did enjoy. Thank you. See you all next one. Goodbye.